Champions League season after season, and Lloris said as much in a recent interview.
Yeah.
We've got to be regulars in the Champions League. And yes, of course we want a trophy. I want a trophy. I can't bloody remember the last time we won it. Well, I can, but anyway, it's been too long. But we've got to try and do both somehow. I don't know. Finish in the top four and hopefully land at a cup somewhere. That would be great.
Yeah, and to that point, and Tim's made this point before, Tim, I know you have, is that to not finish top four, we could win all the trophies in domestically that we want, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, if we wanted to, put our eggs in that basket. But that's not going to keep the Christian Eriksens and Dele Allis and Toby Alderweireld happy. Champions League is. You have to have that competition to keep your top stars, A, and B, recruit new top stars to possibly come into your fold. Agree, Tim?
Completely. I mean, I was listening to, I think it was on Grumpy Pundits while driving to work this past week, and they were talking about Real Madrid. La Liga kind of seems out of their sights this year, given Barcelona's lead, but why do so many players want to go to them? It's because they're always in the Champions League, and not just that, but I think they were saying it's like 21 seasons in a row that they've qualified for the knockout rounds. That's what players want. They want to play on this biggest stage. They could care less about winning a Carabao Cup, And I've said it before, Wigan won a cup and got relegated, and look at them now. They're dropping down the leagues. Nobody cares about or at least fans, we care about the cups. But these players, they want to play on the biggest stage, which is the Champions League. That's what they care about. They don't even care about, like what we care about, finishing above Arsenal. That's not in their minds. They could care less about finishing above Arsenal as long as we're constantly in the Champions League. And if we want to keep these players, wages aside, that's the one thing, is we can't compete with the wages. At least we've shown that we're not going to break our wage structure. And who knows if it'll be different after we move into the stadium and start getting that revenue. But what we can compete on right now is we offer Champions League that Arsenal doesn't offer, Liverpool doesn't offer. But if we can't even offer that and they're going to pay more than us, why would a player want to come play at Tottenham?
Yeah.
It's amazing how the argument shifts, though, Tim. It wasn't that long ago when all Spurs fans were saying, we've got to get in Champions League, we've got to get Champions League so we can attract the best players and blah, 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 which is precisely what you just said. But now the argument shifted. Well, we've got the players now, so we now need to win a trophy. Let's win a trophy. And if you win a trophy and drop out the Champions League, where are you then?
That's what I'm saying. They don't care about the trophy.
Yeah, modern football, isn't it? It's just all about keeping the players happy, and happiness, I think, stems from being able to pit your wits against the best in Europe on a regular basis, and that's Champions League at the end of the day.
And that's all you can expect, right? If we went out and won Champions League, won the league, and won the FA Cup and did the treble, you'd still find fans out there that are bitching and moaning about something, because now that's going to be the expectation every single year. And when that doesn't happen, it's Poch out, Levy doesn't know what he's doing, we don't have the right players, and then we start to sound like the red lot up the road. Screw that. I'm fully on board with what the board and Pochettino are building here, and I'm a patient enough person, and I think we all are here on the pod, to understand that there is a bigger end product that's going to reveal itself here in due time. So it's just a matter of being patient, and I understand it's difficult. It's what we got to do. West Brom. Let's briefly touch on this match as briefly as we can. First 30 minutes, I think I tweeted out, woeful, absolutely the worst 30 minutes I think I've seen all year long, and completely listless and unproductive performance from not only Dele but from Eriksen. Dele's early mistake leads to that goal, and that's all I'm going to say to it. Vass, you said you watched this from that end of the stadium. It had to be like slow motion.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Very sloppy ball in midfield. As I said to you guys before we came on air, I haven't watched it back, so I don't know what it looked like on the TV, but it was, at one point it looked like Sanchez had Rondon, from what I recall, and it looked like he was about to make the clearance, and then I don't know what happened or where Rondon's toe poke came from, but that ball seemed to just take an eternity to roll over the line. And
I think Rondon just gave him a little nudge when he was about to touch the ball and then put it between his legs. And Lloris wasn't expecting that. He just stood there and watched it, and I think we all did, and couldn't believe it went in. I honestly thought play had stopped, something happened, and it didn't. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I think I turned to you, Simon, in the pub and said, that didn't count, right? Play was dead.
Yeah.
Goals like that don't count. Is that half a goal? God, it's awful. It's awful.
It was terrible.
Tim,
and then
go ahead, son. Go ahead, Vass.
No, sorry, you carry on.
I was going to say, Tim, the lineup itself is about as strong a lineup as we can put out right now with all the competitions we have going on. But it's got to be a head scratcher. I mean, Dele and I felt sorry for Kane because he was completely left on an island. And listen, Dele and Kane hooked up for a really nice goal to get the equalizer. But that midfield was so completely unproductive at times. Sonny looked like he was isolated, and Dele and Eriksen looked completely devoid of anything creative or any ideas of what to do. What do you do? What kind of creativity are we lacking or do we need to break down a team that just sits back? I watch other teams do it. I just don't understand why we can't.
I don't really have an answer for you. I mean, it's difficult when they sit back that much, but like you said, other teams are able to break them down. I don't know what it is that we need. I certainly think so. There's been the argument going on. We need a pacey winger. I don't see what Pace would do yesterday when they're already sitting back.
And Kudu's on the bench. He wouldn't have made a difference yesterday.
I mean, I don't think Nkudu's going to make a difference ever.
No.
Just my opinion. I am off the Nkudu train.
Oh, I was going to say, man.
Well, I mean, look at what was it against West Ham where he gets the ball on the counter and he dribbles it out of bounds. Like, he's got so much pace, he can't even control the ball.
That's like me.
And so what are you going to do that's an open space with nobody in front of him and he can't even get it up the pitch? What are you going to do when they're sitting 10 behind the ball? You're going to dribble right into him. I don't think pace is what would have changed the game yesterday. Now, in certain situations, I think we could use a pacey winger, but that's not what's going to break down these teams that are already sitting behind the ball. And I mean, like you were saying earlier, we need an early goal to disrupt their game plan. I mean, that early goal disrupted ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think creativity is what we need more than pace. And I was waiting for Eriksen or Dele, nutmeg somebody, go around somebody, toe drag somebody. I don't know what it is that we needed yesterday. And you kind of got me all hyped up yesterday before the match, you bastard, because you were the one that tweeted out or texted me and said, hey, Lamella's not in the U23s. He could be on the pitch today, or at least on the bench. And I got all excited. I started tweeting stuff out. I was like just anticipating looking at the lineup. And it comes out, not only is he not in the U23s or on the bench, but neither is Marcus Edwards. And then we find out later Eric Lamela and his wife had their first baby, and that's why he was unavailable, or at least on the surface, that's why it seems he was unavailable. But we could have used, listen, I know he hasn't played in over a year, but just that little bit of creativity, I think that's what we need to break those teams down. Vass, do you agree? Is it creativity or is it a different system when it comes to that?
No, I think we definitely need creativity. We need some guile, and we need to be braver. The issues I can see is that we try to move these defences out of position by recycling the ball from one side of the pitch to the other until we can create an opening and find a way through. The difficulty becomes when teams are playing 5 at the back, 4 in front of them, and then just leaving a lone striker up front. We're limited for space. And what I mean by players being braver is there were 1 or 2 instances yesterday when that happened. We created a slight opening, and if our players aren't quick enough to recognise that and make the right pass or make the right run to drive into that space or whatever, then it closes very quickly. You're double covered again, you've got to recycle the ball again, and it all becomes very, very frustrating. Sometimes we needed somebody just get the ball and just drive into the penalty area. Sonny tried it a few times. I thought Dele Alli and Eriksen were both poor yesterday, and when they are both off their game at the same time, then this is the result. We don't have enough creativity.
Sorry, Vass, go ahead. I was going to say, just on the creativity, what we needed was Dele to do what he did on that second goal against Dortmund, is drive it in the box.
Exactly, yeah. And there was not enough of that. Son tried a few times, but then he got blocked out. I thought Son probably was, of the forwards, probably the most threatening yesterday. But the disappointing thing for me as well was our fullbacks. Now, when we are trying to break down these teams, we need those fullbacks to be out wide, and we need them to be advanced. And my disappointment, particularly with Trippier, because he did it at Dortmund and he did it, I think, against Palace as well. He plays too deep. He doesn't get forward enough. So that if there was one occasion, I think, I can't remember which player it was, tried to play a through ball between their left back and their left centre back for Trippier to run onto it. But the pass was overhit. But Trippier was on his heels. He wasn't even there. He wasn't going to make it. And he can have so much joy if he gets further down. He's just too deep, and he either crosses from deep on the rare occasion, or more often than not, his first pass is either backwards or inside. We're not progressing down the right flank. We need to be able to at least progress down the flanks. And people will argue that we need a pacey guy. Well, maybe we do, but we need pace in our wing-backs. We need our wing-backs to be adventurous. So, someone else said yesterday that perhaps they don't advance as much because they don't have the same speed as Walker and Rose to recover when an attack breaks down. Possibly. Well, if that is the case, then perhaps they're not the right tools for the job. But we need our fullbacks to do better, and we need our guys in and around the area, the Allis, the Eriksens and the Sons, to be braver and to drive in a little bit more. That's I think what we were lacking. And also, sorry to blab on, but to open these teams up, we need to start games quicker. We're starting too slow. The first half was tepid. It was awful.
Yeah.
We need to be on the front foot from the first minute. If you score in the first 5-10 minutes, then you've opened them up. It's a different game then. And we're not doing it. We're too slow in our opening play. And then what happens? We let in a sloppy goal. And whereas scoring one against West Bromwich would have been hard, we now have to try and find 2 goals. We had the time to do it, but unfortunately the imagination and the creativity wasn't there to help us.
Yeah, I think one of the most frustrating things as well was there were moments in the second half, and I can think of 3 off the top of my head, where they did have possession of the ball and were down pitch and would fluff their lines or lose possession of the ball, and we didn't counterattack them the way we normally counterattack. We were very slow and methodical in terms of trying to get the ball up the pitch, and it was just we were screaming at the screens, go, do something, and we'd stop play at the halfway line and set it back up as if we were going to try to break them down again, and we just let them set back up. That was very frustrating. All right, let's move on. 45 minutes rambling on about how porous we've been both defensively and inept and offensively. Let's move on to Simon's 5-a-side trivia match week 3. Simon, I'll let you take this away, and I'm going to suck today. I just have a feeling.
All right, fellas. So this week the theme of round 3 is the Stripies. I know we didn't play a West Brom team in stripes, but we know that they're normal kid. So the questions are all going to be about teams that wear stripes. And there are actually 13 available points this week, plus that bonus for winning. So are you ready?
As ready as I'm
guessing everyone overtakes Sam this week.
Yeah.
I think Sam could be propping up the table by the end of this. All right, question 1. Remember, buzz in with your name. There is only 1 second opportunity. The first question, and wait till I finished. Who did Spurs face in the 1901 FA Cup final?
Vass.
Vass.
Sheffield United.
1 point to Vass. Remember, people, stripies.